into Module 8, and we're talking about causes of death. We're going to list and describe the 4 classifications of death. First one is natural causes. They can range from heart attack to disease, stroke, other medical issues, and what gets all of us, old age. Eventually we're all going to die. Then you have accidental. Could be a traffic collision. Now traffic collisions can also be homicides, which we'll discuss in a minute. But if the only person that dies is the driver, then it's a death by traffic collision. Accidental overdose. You got a drug addict and they accidentally overdose, or somebody takes the wrong medication and they accidentally overdose. Drowning. Industrial accidents, people falling off of things, getting run over. I've investigated a forklift that ran over a person that had fallen down in front of the forklift. Those are industrial accidents unless otherwise proven differently, and we'll talk about that in another module. Plane crashes and other transportation issues, planes, trains, other transportation modes, buses. Suicide. If somebody takes their own life, then it's way to die. And we'll talk about it in a minute, but only the coroner can determine whether or not it was a suicide. Homicide. Now the homicide is defined as the killing of one person by another person. So there's criminal homicide. That's the one we're familiar with, where somebody intentionally kills somebody, and we'll talk about that when we talk about how to prosecute a case, what the elements are of criminal homicide and murders and manslaughters. And then you also have excusable. Somebody runs out in front of you and you're running over them in their car. It's not your fault, it's their fault, but you did kill them. It's excusable. Justifiable by court order. If you get the death penalty, there is somebody that actually has to rig everything up to ensure that they can carry out the court order, and that's justifiable. And also justifiable self-defense, such as an officer-involved shooting. When the officer is threatened, they can use the appropriate force to overcome, and if that happens to end up in a homicide, that's what it is, and it's a justifiable homicide. Remember, only the coroner can determine the cause of death. The coroner is the one that investigates the death, and they rule the cause of death. And if you want to prosecute a case for homicide, the coroner has to rule that it's one of the criminal homicides that you can prosecute, such as manslaughter or murder, which we'll discuss in a separate section.